Well, we got Louisiana Tech out of the way yesterday, and it's now to move on to Florida Atlantic, who obviously a couple of weeks ago went through, some unfortunate circumstances. But I thought as a team and a group of coaches, they obviously did a great job of moving forward. You look at the film, tough first half for them, but then really dominated the game after that. And with 4 straight turnovers, I think. Offensively did a great job against Tulane, who's really good on defense. So obviously their coaches and players have done a great job of moving on. They've got a really good football team, well coached. They do a really nice job on offense. Obviously Coach Wright is now taking over as a head coach. But they do some really good things, and we'll have our work cut out for us this week.
Defensively, they're very stout. I mean, they play very well on defense. What do they do that makes them so tough?
Well, they've got really good players, and I think they're really well coached. I think their guys up front played well, and they play hard. They make it hard to run the ball. They're not a blitzing team per se. They don't really challenge you that way as often, but they challenge you in terms of their run support, and yet challenging you outside with their match concepts. So, and I just think they do it really well. I don't think they're really complicated. I just think they do it really well. They're well coached, and their players play hard. Again, they've had some tough games early, and the toughest part of their schedule is out of the way. So again, we'll have our work cut out for us.
First of last 2 home games, this one kicking off early in the morning. Does that present a different type of challenge for your team, or is that just kind of have to make adjustments to it?
Oh, I don't know. I wish I could figure out which one would make us create a challenge that'd be more difficult for us. I mean, ultimately, we've got to get ourselves up in the morning, get ourselves going, and find a way to have a quick start, which we have not had yet. So that's basically what we're looking for, is how can we get a faster start? Maybe it's starting at 11:30 means a faster start. I don't know.
Bringing it back to Tech, you get that turnover and then kind of go right back with the double pass that gets intercepted. Was the design for that play to go to either deep, or was it for the wide receiver in motion?
Well, it's for the receiver in motion. We obviously made a mistake. We obviously didn't coach it well enough. We had the ball 10 out of 15 possessions past the 50. Whether we started there or we moved it past there. Very reminiscent of the Arkansas game. Many opportunities, just we didn't finish very well. But it was disappointing to get the turnover and then other times be inside the 50 and not be able to take advantage of that. So we've got to coach it better. We obviously didn't do a good enough job of team man understanding where we want to go with the ball. That's on us.
Coach, still having some struggles running the ball. Is there anything you can do at this point? Or is it one of those things where you just got to try and make adjustments?
Well, we've got to continue to find a way to run the ball. The toughest thing, too, is we've got to be better at running the football schematically, and then we've got to do a better job of obviously blocking it. But then we've also got to be in the game. We've got to give ourselves a chance to run it more often. I promise you, Louisiana Tech, a number of their rushing yards was in the fourth quarter, midway through the third and the fourth quarter, just like our other opponents. And we've got to continue to run the ball and try to run the ball. We've got to find a way to not put so much pressure on Nick to make every play and for our guys in the perimeter. And then at the end of the day, if we're going to have to play pitch and catch, we're going to have to catch the son of a gun. We haven't done a very good job the last few weeks of catching the football. And that's what it's all about. It's what we're going to be about here. We got to find guys that will do that. Doesn't matter what their skill set is, if we can't find a way to create space and catch the football.
As the injuries have continued to sort of pile up, and you see guys like Chris Briggs and Kyle Sloter now contributing in the offense, in particular at receiver, there doesn't seem to be that much slippage. I mean, is that something that you found that even with Briggs and Sloter in there, guys that were further down the depth chart to start the season?
Well, I think it's a fair question. I think that those guys have worked hard to get their opportunity to play. And I think when given the opportunity, they've done some really nice things in the short term. I think that kind of is an indicator of where we're at as we're trying to find our way offensively. Who are those guys? Right? Our sample size being here for the last 8 months is small, trying to figure out who are those guys that can play consistent football. Sometimes maybe guys that have flashed have not played as well as we would have hoped and have made their first share of mistakes. that's something that we've tried to work our way around. And you only have what you have. As guys get injured, the most important thing is that you offensively try to put yourself in a position for what those guys can do and how they can help your team move the football. Obviously, we've got to find a way to do it better and catch it better.
Coach, as do most teams, this team plays a little bit better at home. So do you feel like, despite the tough season, that they're going to come back, rejuvenated to play in front of the Rock again?
Well, I would hope so. This will be our 10th game, and we've only played here 3 times so far. So we played well the first 2 times in terms of the score, not so much in terms of efficiently. And then the last game here, we obviously didn't play as well as we would have liked. But again, there were signs this week defensively that we tightened down some things by having. The thing is when you move so many pieces around in a new system, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for those guys to get comfortable. And but obviously we've got to find a way to move the ball and score more points and continue what we feel like we built on last week, which was not giving up big plays on defense and making the opponent move the ball consistently. In the weeks previous to that, we gave up way too many explosive plays. I mean, that's how the score ends up. We turn it over and we're giving up explosive plays, and that's a recipe to get blown out.
Talk about the Florida Atlantic offense a little bit. What do they do?
Well, it all goes through their quarterback. I mean, he's a guy from right up the road here that played at East Mississippi last year and is a powerful runner, thrower. Again, he's a tough guy to bring down. They do a nice job with putting you in a run-pass conflict with him. So, and they've got some explosive guys on the perimeter. So that we're going to have to do a great job of containing their run game and forcing them into passing situations and putting them in a drop-back passing game. Some teams have been able to do it. That's easier said than done. For as well as they do what they do, they've done a real nice job. And we're just going to have to find a way to limit the explosive plays and find a way to create some turnovers.
Right now, how would you assess Nick Mullins' development as a passer and a decision maker?
It's been better. Didn't start off the game real well. Made a couple early mistakes, and he continues to make mistakes. I mean, there was one time we had a call in and we didn't buzz the back over, and so we ran it the wrong way. Or there's times where he doesn't see it the same way. But every game is going to go into his memory bank to build on as a player. He is still a very young player. So the problem is we're all making breakdowns on both sides of the ball that doesn't lend ourselves to have the success we'd like. So that's the problem is while Nick's making his mistakes, our other positions are making their fair share of mistakes, and that's where they're struggling. And that's always the way it's been in my 25 years of coaching is how do we do it better at every position, and then you will see more consistency on both sides of the ball.
You mentioned other players' mistakes, specifically the drops you mentioned earlier. Does Nick ever, you ever see him go to his wide receivers like, hey man, it's okay, we'll get him the next time? Or
Sure, that's his nature. His nature is to lead and be positive and think about the series that just was and what we could do better and did he see it the right way. That's just who he is. But at the end of the day, those guys got to catch it. I mean, you can slap them on the rear end all you want and talk through it. And at the end of the day, we got to play guys that catch it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, that's what you're paid to do, is to run and catch the football. So we've got to figure out a way to do it better.
maybe not paid to do, but
Not paid to do.
Scholarship.
That's how your scholarship.
Yeah.
Basically, if you can't do that, then you better be pretty good at covering people. Let's put it that way.
Was he less mobile Saturday than he was in previous weeks? And if he was that by design or was that?
No. I think we protected better. I think that was probably what it was. I thought we did a better job of protecting. I thought our assessment of what we were getting was better. I thought our attention to detail was better. Part of that is having a new center, Garrett Clark, and we had Rashad back at left tackle. So I thought there was less. He was under duress less. Does that mean there wasn't some of that? No. But I think that's why you saw less of him moving around. He wasn't beat up or not by design for us not to utilize. I just think we protected better.
Has recruiting changed from like even a month ago or 2 months ago to now? I mean, is there, I guess just recruiting, from a recruiting standpoint, where do things
You
stand?
talking about because of the record and how we're struggling and those kind of things, or does that be the only thing we'd be talking about changing, right? even with this year, 18 of the last 20 years, Southern Miss had a winning season, been to 10 bowl games. Man, we'll put that up against anybody. So, sure, are people going to pick at you? Of course, that's the here and now. They better pick at us now. They better get us now, okay, because this is a great place. And like I said, kids want to come here. And so, sure, is it difficult because you have to fight off people that are talking about the last couple of years, right? That's the only thing they have. They can't speak about the tradition. They can't speak about the history of this program. There's no way they can, okay? That's what we have to speak to, okay, why I want to be the head coach here. So, of course, it's going to be difficult because kids nowadays, the here and now, right? Well, what do I see now? I don't remember 5 years ago, okay? So I get that. But at the end of the day, they're either going to buy our program and buy me or they're not. And so, sure, would it be helpful if instead of 0-9, we're 9-0? No question. That would be silly for me not to say that. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's our job to sell our program, sell us, and where we're headed. And show them where we've struggled with youth, where we've struggled with injuries. And our coaching staff is only going to get better, and we've got a great staff. So we're going to continue to get better. And do they want to be a part of that? Do they want to be a part of bringing the program back to where it has been and is going to be?
Are you guys placing an emphasis more on one or the other, whether it's JUCO or high school?
Not particularly. I mean, do we have holes to fill? Yes, like a lot of teams do. Ultimately, I think you take the best player available. I think if you just take a player just because he's a junior college player or a high school player, I think you're making a mistake. We obviously have to have a big enough pool to draw from because we're going to take the full allotment. And it's hard to find 25 guys that you automatically look on tape and say, that's who I want. I mean, it is. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're at the highest level in Division I football. It's hard to find 25 guys that, because everybody's looking for the same guys. We're all looking for the same players. So ultimately, we got to find what niche we're looking for, look at the positives of what a player can do, not what they can't do, and then assess what they're about. What is their core makeup? Do they like football? Are they tough? Are they competitive? Are they smart? And so at the end of the day, because my intention has always been wherever I've coached that I'm going to finish my career there. That's here. So I'm not building for a year from now or 2 years. I'm building for 10, 15 years and get this program back on track.
Are you one of these guys that focuses or even obsesses on statistics, and what categories do you kind of concentrate on, I mean, for previous game and the season in general?
Well, I think it's difficult to focus on statistics. It always has been, because ultimately the things that matter is turnovers, explosive plays, third down conversions, touchdowns in the red zones, and lost yardage plays on both sides of the ball. That's it. The rest doesn't matter. It only makes you feel better, you know, when you put up offensive yards and it doesn't matter. I've been down that road before when you're a coordinator. You know, it makes you feel better, but the result's still the same. Ultimately, the result that matters is do you win or you lose. And and those 5 areas, those critical areas determine that. Ultimately, that's what determines it. So, you know, at the end of the day, I really don't, statistics, those 5 areas are critical, the critical areas, obviously trying to win the fourth quarter, or at least put yourself in position where the fourth quarter matters. But ultimately, our motto here is you got to recruit, develop, and coach better. We got to recruit, we got to develop, and we got to coach better. And then once we get them here, it's toughness, effort, discipline, no excuses, finish. That's it. And then we talk about those 5 areas. That's it. And then that's what we work on every day. And so at the end of the day, I couldn't tell you. I mean, obviously, some of the statistics fall in those areas, but I'm not worried about yards or some of the other things that don't matter.